What is going on, everybody? This is Adam Potash, and I have our amazing. I'm not gonna say sidekick anymore. What can we say?
What can we say? Sidekick,
Partner in
partner in
crime.
crime, partner in crime.
Okay, there you go. Partner in
Is
crime,
that?
Victoria Bates. How are you this morning?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you
Uh,
doing?
I'm great. It is very early here, hence the glasses going on. So I've been up for a little while. For those of you that know me, I get up very, very early, but don't do podcasts very early in the morning. But we're doing a very early podcast. We got a lot going on
Yeah,
today, so we want to get it out of the way. And it is just us today, so we are the special guests, so to speak.
we are.
We've had a lot of amazing guests on in the last few weeks, so that's been exciting.
Yeah, I think it's been really exciting to just discuss some other topics to do with wellness. And I mean, particularly the last podcast with Carice about wellness in the area of your kind of face muscles and neck muscles and breathing. That was so fascinating to me. So, yeah, it's been
Yeah,
really interesting.
no,
Really
I'm
interesting.
like all in on these podcasts. I mean, because I'm just learning more and more about just, not just, I guess, people and people's specialties and what they do and why they do it. And so I just, all that stuff is very intriguing to me. And yes, with Carice, I got to go see her with my TMJ issue. So hopefully she can
Yeah.
fix me up.
And I think it's really interesting because the commonality between every guest, no matter what their specialty, they've always said, well, the first thing that you need to look at is your diet
Mhm.
and your water intake and your sleep. And
Yeah,
it's all those like foundational basics of wellness that you need to get in line first. And then if you still find that you're having issues, there are all these specialists that can help with that particular thing. But so
always.
many things can be cured and helped and assisted with just the basics, which is what we teach. So
Oh my gosh, yeah, and this keeps on kind of coming back to me. Like I saw something the other day that said like food first, like
mm,
and that's kind of like what we always talk about is food first. Like get your stuff
yeah,
through food first. So yeah, I'm right there with you with that. And then I saw another kind of like meme or like TikTok trend, I guess it was, and someone was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling good," and then like the question is, "Oh, did you go outside today? No. Oh,
yeah,
did you eat healthy today? No." Like and so like it's all these kind of check boxes
yeah,
that people aren't doing to start.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, and I used to work for a little while in skincare, and people would always come and say, like, what have you got that I can put on my skin to help? And it's like, well, hang on, first, what are you putting inside your body that's affecting your
sure.
skin? Because, there's some great skincare, and I love skincare, and I know Rachel loves skincare, but
Yeah,
if you're not fueling your body and your skin, the skin is the largest organ on the body. If
sure.
you're not fueling it with water and nutrition, then what hope have you got for adding creams on top of it? So
Yeah. We
yeah,
talk about
it's
this
been
all the
really
time. I mean,
fascinating.
yeah, Rachel being in the skincare space, I've health coached a lot of her colleagues and friends, and like nothing beats proper nutrition and diet. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and it's great because it's one of the first things that you do notice when you start changing up your diet. So it's pretty
Yeah,
instant. Yeah,
yeah. And that's a really good motivator, actually. I think those things that change instantly when you change your
sure,
lifestyle,
sure.
that's a really good, you look in the mirror and think, actually, I'm making progress here. It's great.
Yeah. So, you listen, it's so I was before we got on this live, I'm thinking like what a difference a week makes. And
Hmm.
so much has happened in this week, not just for the approach, but I think general in the world. I mean, we had this whole like big Oprah, I want to say scandal without getting like, banned from
Yeah,
social media. But it seemed like such like hoopla, this whole like production she put on about Ozempic and stuff like that. And listen, I don't want to, diss drugs completely. I just think they're 1000% overused and not
hmm,
for the right purposes or intentions. And we can go down that rabbit hole forever. So that's
yeah.
happened. Then we had this kind of crazy article come out, which I don't know if you read the whole thing. I know, did
I
you
did.
you
I
did?
did because people were sending it to me. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had members sending it in saying, "What's your opinion on this?"
Uh-huh.
So I read all of it and I read through some of the research and things. So yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
clued up on it.
and now social media, I don't know if you heard the latest, but now social media is attacking kind of big influencer intermittent fasting figures.
Right.
So there's a few of them on there, Gary Braca, and Huberman and some big time, TikTok people at least, and now they're trying to take them down and some other
Right.
kind of crazy scandals and whatnot. It's just insane to me. I don't know if you ever read a book or if I'm assuming it's worldwide popularity, but
Right.
it's called the Atlas Shrugged. So have you heard of this book?
No, I
It's an
haven't.
older book from like the 40s or 50s. I was never a big reader. I started reading kind of like later in life.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like the high school book you should read.
got it.
And again, I don't like getting all political, but it's basically I'll sum it up for you in like 30 seconds. The smartest people in the world have to go basically form their own island where nobody is in communication with them because the government tries to take them over and have them
Right.
almost work for the government. And so and I'm reading this book, and by the way, I hated it. Every single page I hated the book. I was like, this is the most boring book. I hate it. I can't stand it.
Right.
But I got recommended through a very smart friend of mine. So I was like, I got to do it. And I'm not a
Yeah,
quitter. And the point of my story is like now everything like is popping up in relations to how this book talks about. And
yeah.
it's just crazy to me.
That's
Crazy.
crazy. That is
You know,
crazy.
we live in this, you and I live in this kind of like health space of natural healing, I want to say. And
Yeah,
like I always come back to when did we get away from this?
yeah,
I want some answers. Like I really do. Like when did doctors like stop prescribing health and nutrition
yeah.
and you know good diet and when you know obviously there's no money to be made and I get that part and I understand that and maybe they should have figured out a way to attach some revenue earnings
Hmm.
with proper diet like come out with meal plans come out with
Yeah,
you know, add health coaches and nutritionists to their practice that they can. I don't know. You know,
yeah.
I don't want to plug myself in this, but what's your?
No, I know. I agree, and I think it's interesting. And I mean, here in the UK, there is definitely a push to get back to that from the NHS, our National Health Service. I know that if you now go to the doctors and you say that you know, you've got any issue, but maybe a root cause of that is obesity or being overweight, the first thing that they will do is recommend you to, well, they actually give you like vouchers for money off gyms, money off weight loss programs or things that are approved. They have like a whole meal plan thing that they will send over to you. So they are really trying to move more towards fixing larger health issues with diet and exercise before they start prescribing things.
But do you think
So
it's like putting a band-aid over things? Like, there's no way that that can compete with like big pharma and stuff like that.
completely, but I do think there's a big difference between here and in the US with where we're at the moment.
I have no doubt. I
Massively.
mean, the U.S. has to be
Yeah.
like the worst on this stance, but like, you know, like there's no competing, right? Like, so that's kind of like my thought on it. There's no competing with this. The only thing that we can do is take a look at big pharma and take a look at their
Yeah.
approach and their marketing and kind of limit that, right?
Yeah.
Because their
Yeah.
funds are endless, right? They're always going to win.
Yeah,
You
for
go, you know,
sure.
what is it like 70% of ad spend on television is big pharma.
Right. Okay.
You know, like there's no way
Yeah.
to, you know, we can talk about eating healthy all we want,
Yeah.
but you know, the noise is always there with, you know, drugs and you know, prescriptions and things like that.
Yeah. And I think it's so inbuilt into people's mindset. Like, I've got a problem. What can I get to fix it? Like,
Mhm.
people rarely are looking inside for their, you know, own habits or lifestyle changes that they can make. It's very, I mean, my Adam is like exactly like that. He's like, oh, I need to go to the doctor because I've got this. And I'm like, well, the first thing I would do in any situation is I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a bit lethargic. What food should I be eating that will give me more energy? Like, especially being, actually, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I'm expecting a baby and
Yes.
being
How long
pregnant.
are you right now?
I'm coming up for 6 months.
Oh,
So yeah, we're
wow.
getting there. But even
Over
with that,
halfway.
like, yeah, over half, I know. Crazy. Although Isaac went right to the end, so I'm just like, this is just a, you
No,
know,
this
we're
is
just
number
gonna keep
two. This one's
going
gonna fly out.
and going. But even with this, I'm like, oh, I feel particularly tired today. What foods can you eat
Yeah.
during pregnancy that are going to help increase? Like, I, for me to actually go to the doctor and ask for some help, I have to be so far down the line of like, I've tried everything I can to adjust with diet, water, sleep, exercise,
Oh, I'm the
general
same
moving the
way.
body.
I look at that first. Like I had a few days last week that I was feeling a little lethargic, and I kind of like couldn't open
Yeah,
my eyes. Like well, just a couple of those days, and I immediately thought like, what is going on? Like something,
yeah,
is it the weather? Is it allergies? What is it? But
yeah,
no, the last resort for me would ever be a doctor.
yeah.
I don't even go for regular checkups. I'm like,
No.
what? I'm like, I just don't.
No.
So yeah.
Whereas I know people who are like, oh, I've been really tired lately, so I've been to the doctor. And it's like, oh, okay, wow, okay. Like, and I think it's that it's so difficult to change that mentality. I think it's so deep within people. But I don't know if we want to just go back and recap over the actual article that we were talking about, because I know people have wanted your opinions on it. I know you've
Yeah.
shared a video on social about it, but perhaps for podcast listeners that haven't seen that, what were our thoughts on the article?
Yeah, and a lot of people have actually done what a lot of people have done their take on the article. And what's amazing to me is if you go look at the article, any one of the articles or any one of the comments about it, like everything is negative about the article and in favor of fasting. So whatever their efforts were supposed to be, it
Yeah,
completely backfired, which is great. Like, that's kind of what I was hoping. I didn't see any, like, not one positive thing, like, oh my God, this article is amazing. Like we
no,
need more of this. No, there was nothing of that. So basically the article was of a study. They did 20,000 people study, but it wasn't even peer reviewed. It wasn't a real study. It was almost kind of like almost like an opinion, the
yeah,
way it was written. And I've read this article 3 times, and every time I've read it, I'm like, this just makes less and less sense.
mm-hmm.
Um, and the review was they took 2 days of eating and basically calculated people's life after 2 days
Yeah,
of eating. And then what they also did was they kind of put this intermittent fasting name or topic to nothing that had to do with intermittent fasting.
mm-hmm.
So it could have been people already going through illnesses. It could have been it wasn't a designed intermittent fasting kind of
No,
structure. It was nothing like that. So I think people, and for the most part, I don't think people will ever read between the lines. They're looking at a title, they're looking at like words here and there throughout the content, and they're like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, 91% heart disease. But there was no association. So there was no
no,
connection. And there was no backing to come up with that 91% either. The
yeah,
crazy part about this article too is it referenced like 3 times the benefits of intermittent fasting and the benefits of
yeah,
previous studies. And I was like,
yeah. That's what really got me, was the bit where it suddenly said, oh, by the way, the majority of other studies, in fact, every other study that we've
yeah,
seen,
yeah,
doesn't support this research at all. And it was like, oh, okay, but why is that not in the headline? Like, why is why, like, well, we know why. It's clickbait and it gets the views
sure.
and there's ads on the article and people are getting paid for that and blah, blah, blah. But it just completely contradicted itself right at the end. It said, any
Yeah,
other
it
study
was.
you listen to will tell you that there's loads of benefits. Yeah.
Right. And again, if you find any of the articles or social media publications that have this, just open up the comment section and every single one. I didn't find one comment that said again
No.
that this was such a positive, great review. Like everything, even the people that like wanted to disagree with
Yeah.
intermittent fasting, they were like, well, this article didn't really do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and again, I think some of these things are obviously in line with again Oprah, and again, I don't know, nothing against Oprah. I know there's a lot of Oprah lovers out there, but
Yeah.
I think it was like just perfect timing with her special on all these weight loss drugs, and then this come out, and then again, it's all timing, like literally week after week, like to the
Hmm.
date. There's all these kind of negative publicity coming out about fasting, and it's targeting fasting. And my only thought is that, listen, fasting is easy, it's free, it's can
Yeah.
can save your life. I mean, the
Yeah.
benefits go on and on. So they're trying to come at it from every angle, I guess.
Yeah. I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
So and I even looked up the doctor, and the only picture I found was literally an AI picture of this doctor.
Right.
And so again, the whole thing just kind of looked a little bogus to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I know we could talk about this stuff for days and days, and it's our space. But I encourage everybody to go read that article. Oprah did the special. Go. I watched a glimpse of it. I think there was some positivity to her show that basically highlighted people change their life, and that's great. And I get that. I just, in my opinion, is it's not a sustainable life,
Hmm.
and the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak, with all the negative side effects and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And to end this podcast, I think people sit there and they say they've tried everything, and no,
Yeah.
you haven't tried everything, or if you've tried things, you haven't done it with the proper guidance or support or knowledge or understanding and all these things. So no, it
Yeah.
hasn't been everything. I highly encourage people to just do intermittent fasting, whether it's the approach program or not. Just get the right tools, get the right information, go to the library, go to the bookstore, pick out some books. There's tons and tons of books now on intermittent fasting, and just do your own research. Don't
Yeah.
listen to some doctor selling you a drug. I think doctors certainly have their place, but not selling drugs.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Well, again, we can talk about this for hours. Thank you so much, Victoria. If you guys want more information about the approach program, about intermittent
Yeah.
fasting. Oh, by the way, I haven't shown you this. We have official approach plates. We're gonna
Yeah.
start taking pre-orders for these. I know you guys can't see this if you're listening at home, but we have official approach plates that are kind of giving guidelines of what to eat, how much to eat, and stuff like that. Not that we're big on portion control. These are just kind of really good generic guidelines. So we're going to start taking pre-orders for these very soon. As always, if you want more information about the Approach program, just go to jointheapproach.com or just go and download the app. That's the easiest way to get started. We have a 7-day trial, and you can lose up to 5 pounds your first week. So,
Perfect.
all right. Take care, guys.